Greetings! Greetings, one and all. Welcome to Channel Other Doc. It is going to be a mysterious night. I feel. I'm Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and this is the playtest of Genesis Undone, which we're doing in a mini-campaign format. This is a game I've been working on that's meant to tell the story of the dawn of a fantasy civilization as though it were a stage tragedy. We shall now discover our players. We'll find out who is hiding behind these masks of cards. And the intrigue has started already, and we haven't even gotten out of the intros. I love it. We'll go around and say hi to everyone, and see who they are. And this session I'm going to ask them about if they have a favorite tragedy, or just one they like, or one they don't hate. And we shall start going on the overlay. I'm starting with the top with Kat. Hello.
Hi. My name is Kat. At Cleric of Court is where you can find me on Twitter. When it comes to tragedies, I mean, Shakespeare, hands down, I think is where my heart is at. He was my introduction to the tragedies. Yeah, I mean, I was just telling a friend a story the other day about sitting in class in high school sobbing as I finished up reading Othello, because it struck me. So I think we'll stick with Shakespeare and his tragedies. Pick one. They're all good.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
There's so
awesome.
many.
Yeah, yes.
Well, can I just plug this because I think this deck is amazing?
Oh yeah, sure. Yes.
Okay.
I should have asked what deck are you holding? That's what I should ask.
This is the deck. Let's get it on the camera. Murder of Crows Tarot by Corrado Roy. Check them out. The artist is amazing. I can't find their name at the moment, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous black and white deck. And I love this deck. It's gorgeous. So
awesome.
Check them out.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, just checking. Oh, is it? Cool. Excellent. No, that's great. No, it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. Okay. Well, folding that in, let us continue on over to Ernest. Hello.
Hello. My name is Ernest, also known as Hollow Invective. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at Hollow Invective. You can see that there on the screen. My favorite tragedy is Prometheus. Prometheus, it's a story of good intentions and wanting to do the right thing by underprivileged people. You can even say that Prometheus's punishment was for an act of social justice, giving something that was needed to humanity, to mankind, and that's pretty much how I feel about that.
That's a really good one. I'm going to need to do a deep dive on Prometheus sometime soon, actually, because because I got projects in the background that actually are related somewhat to it. So that's awesome. May I ask what deck that you've got with you tonight?
This was Terror of the Divine by Yoshitani. But we can see it there. There we go. Yeah. Awesome. And
now let us head over to a new face on the channel, Sara. Hello.
Hello. I'm Sara B, also known as Sara B Strange. You can find me on pronouns she, they, and you can find me on Twitter at Sara B Strange. My favorite tragedy in Shakespeare is absolutely Hamlet. I read that one for the first time when I was also an emo depressed teen. So I relate very heavily, and it still holds a very special place in my heart. But overall, I am also a sucker for Orpheus and Eurydice. Yes, I am a theater kid who is obsessed with Hades Town. But it's such a beautiful love story, and that feeling of just, you came so close, and then the moment of weakness. I think it's just an epitome of a tragedy. My deck is Botanica by Kevin J. Stanton. These are just utterly beautiful. It's all plant and flowers and gorgeous artwork. I was lucky enough to get on the Kickstarter, so I've got the one with the gilded edges and everything, and it's so pretty.
Excellent, excellent. Very pleased to have you here. This is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun. And finally, let us go over to Kate. Hello.
Hi, I am Kate Eliot. Also, handle is It's Eliot Kate to confuse everybody on Twitter and everywhere else right now. Pronouns she, they. Favorite tragedy, Shakespeare's what comes to mind. I need to dig into more tragedies. Now, this has me like, oh, I need to go research this, dive into it. But I started on Shakespeare, also early teen. I think I started reading Romeo and Juliet and the Hamlet obsessively when I was like 12 and memorizing all the soliloquies for fun. I was a strange, dramatic child. So I guess I'd have to say Hamlet, just because that's the one that, like, as a really young teen diving into all this, that I just kind of latched onto. So yeah, I've been getting back into Shakespeare lately, and then after that I should dig into more tragedies.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
The deck I have is the Dark Wood deck, art by Abigail Larson. She's on Twitter, posts lots of amazing artwork. The pictures are just stunning. Lots of witches and vampires and bats. Such a cool fantasy thing, and the book that comes with it like walks you through this sort of story of you going into this dark wood and working your way through on this journey, and it's just amazing.
Nice, excellent. So as for myself, unfortunately, I was not able to grab a tarot deck of my own in time, but so tonight I'm just playing with the Pixel Tarot, which you'll be seeing shortly on Roll20. I had, although I do have to say, I was fond at the time. In the annals of history, one of the first tarot decks that I ever picked up on my own was, in fact, the deck that they came out with in the 90s for Mage the Ascension.
Yes!
Which I still have in the other room. Perhaps I will display it later, if I can get hold of it. But I was borderline goth in some ways, so it spoke to me in many ways. I have to say that my favorite tragedies are, I enjoy so many of them. I was kind of raised on operas as a kid, and so there are a lot. I was raised in part on, pretty much any that you can come across. I have distinct memories of seeing Aida. I have distinct memories of the Ring Cycle. Pretty much anything you get into, it's going to be a tragedy. In college, I really loved a lot of the Greek tragedies that we saw, and I really got into Medea. Medea was really good, I thought. And I have very distinct memories of Antigone. Excellent tragedies, and of course, the stuff in Shakespeare's vault is always something I like to take a look at. I actually had the opportunity to do a bit of Shakespeare, I think, for a little while last year with Kat on Praxis channel, which was a lot of fun. Just digging into those.
Go find them on YouTube, because watching Jim talk to himself is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
Please
that's right,
direct
I forgot.
us to how we can find these later.
That's true.
Praxmathaurus, I never can fish.
I'll
It's on
find it.
Praxis channel. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get it up for you. But
I'll
yeah,
get it up there.
you
Yeah,
need to
but
check
it's
them out.
I had a lot of fun with that. That's kind of where that meme began, of me talking to myself on streams. Although, to be honest, I've always kind of done it. But it was a thing. It was definitely a thing. That should be the link to the channel there, in the chat there, if for where her stuff is, and you can sort of search through and try to find, try to see if there's Shakespeare specifically. Oh, this was her Classics on Twitch series. Here, let me just link the playlist. There. That will make life much easier for everyone. There we go. For those who want to go and find it in there. I can't remember which ones I was in off the top of my head, but they were they're all a delight. So I highly recommend going and checking them out. Like we do before I dive in fully into describing this game, like we do with the other games on this channel, just as a reminder, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. So if we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, or hold up a card, and we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom video chat, and we'll fade to black on it, or put it behind a veil, essentially, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going, we can put an O in the chat to let us know we're okay and that we're all good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that, again with an X, an N, or an O to let us know if we're still doing okay. We're also using the pause. If any of us needs to take some time, we can ask for a pause in the game while we discuss things, or just take a break for as long as anyone needs. As a reminder, just a few content warnings. This game may have references to death, murder, poison, war, disease, and religious concepts, sin and creation myths in particular. And at any time you can type bang GUCW or exclamation point GUCW in the chat if you want that listed there. Also, please remember that we have an open door policy, which means any of us and any of you can feel free to step away from this at any time if we need to. It's just a game, and mental health is always more important. But now, let us get into this game, Genesis Undone. Basically, this is a game that I wrote for the first iteration for Game Chef like a decade ago. It was a diced game back then, and I think it had a GM. And it's been through some changes since then. I stumbled across once a game called Hell for Leather that kind of influenced it, where they use... there are two games called Hell for Leather, but this was Hell for the number 4 Leather, which is basically a mashup of... it's a tragic story that's sort of a mashup of Sons of Anarchy and Ghost Rider, basically, about a gang member coming back from the dead to avenge his death. And that used tarot cards to set up scenes, and I've decided to do something similar here, but I also use them as prompts to figure out things about the tragedy. The idea of this is that we are trying to put together a game, a scenario, a play, if you will, telling the story of the dawn of a fantasy civilization as though it were a stage tragedy, or something along those lines. So I'm going to, as we're sort of moving through this, I'm going to kind of be reading from the, I shall be reading from the text a little bit, to make sure I know, what I'm doing, as it has been a little while, since I've actually played a game of this. We had a one-shot of it on this channel, and I discovered in the course of that it takes longer than a one-shot to play this game. So that's why we're doing this as a mini campaign, and we'll see what we do. We'll see how it does. So there is this game draws sort of an inspiration off of those things that I mentioned, Greek tragedies, Shakespeare, and operas, primarily. That's what I dug into mostly when I was coming up with the different tropes and things for scenes and what have you that appear in this game. The characters will have great ambitions and tragic flaws that lead them to their dooms. So there will be a great deal of inter-character conflict as part of the story, but it should be by the consent of all the players. The idea is to create a downward spiral that will lead your characters to death and despair, and have a good time while doing it. This kind of game is not going to be fun for everyone, and this does require cooperation between the players, and it's perfectly fine if you prefer the sort of game where both the players and the characters always cooperate. but and those kinds of games are a lot of fun. This is not one of them. In this game, the tragedy that we tell will take place at the dawn of civilization. Which civilization in particular is up to you. It's up to us. And it will be determined during the game setup. The start of the story might be a familiar one. In the beginning, one of the gods created the first beings, making them in their own image. But that race of beings, having free will, felt the hand of temptation. They committed the first sin. And because of that first sin, the gods exiled the first beings from paradise. They settled in the outer lands, and they began again. Your characters will be some of the first beings, all of whom are in exile. They have all been tainted by the first sin. Some have forsworn that sin, but others have not. Despite this, they have worked together to make up for what was lost. They have built a new civilization together. They have founded the first city. So, in the setup of this, we're going to probably want to take a certain number of notes. We have the deck split up into Major Arcana and Minor Arcana. We're using a tarot deck. And so I start by dealing out 5 cards from the Major Arcana deck. He says moving everything around the screen so that he can see everything. We assign them each. We assign them to each of 5 categories. The deity, these cards will describe the deity, the beings, the sin, the exile, and the city. And they'll determine the essential natures of each of these things in our tragedy. We'll do the same with 5 cards from the minor deck. And they'll help sort of determine the more physical or practical side of each category. And I've got a table that's also should be in, hopefully is in the, might be in the journal, but if not, it should be in the text that we'll sort of be looking at. I'm going to go ahead and deal out these cards. I'm going to just lay them on the mat, and we can decide where we want to put them. So I've shuffled the deck, and we have the Empress, the Star, Death, always a popular one, Strength, and the World. So these are the 5 cards we have. Now, if we want, we can just put them in these little slots that they're next to, or we can mix them around. What do we think?
I like in order.
Yeah, the order is very good.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good.
And we'll talk about what this all means in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and draw from the minor deck now. We have the Page of Cups. We have the 8 of Cups. We have the 7 of Wands. We have the 9 of Swords. And we have the Ace of Swords. So, how do we feel about it? Do we want to put these in order also, or do we want to mix them up?
I kind of like the order, but it might be interesting to put Page of Cups in either Sin or Exile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one is Famine.
Yeah.
So that would be very cool for either of those. I don't have a preference for which one. Does anyone know which thing it should be, Sin or Exile? I think it could be really interesting in either.
I think with matching it with Sin would be.
If that. Oh yeah. So that one's.
Oh.
7 of Wands
yeah.
is Vengeance, so that could also be good in one of those slots.
Yeah, that's true.
That could be cool. 7 of Wands, Vengeance could be interesting in the city.
Oh,
That's true.
Oh yeah.
We could have a,
Oh my God.
we could have a city of spite
Yes!
Yes.
The city trying to bite back at the deity that spurned them.
Screw you. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna make our own, because, our own city with blackjack and hookers.
Hookers and blow off as far as you can see. Welcome to Vegas.
We have backed into the story of Bugsy Siegel.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fine.
Takes notes for Urban Shadows campaign.
I know, right? We wherever we want it, really. So we like the page in the sin, I'm hearing, kind of leaning slightly towards sin.
Yeah.
And actually that's very interesting, because that might mean someone starved to death, possibly.
Or was
Seven
allowed
of-
to starve.
Yeah, 701s. Yeah, exactly. 701s under the city. And how do we feel about the others?
Ace of Swords is nature.
That would
So,
be deity.
I was thinking either deity or the exile.
The deity
Yeah.
wants like nature everywhere, and these are a bunch of just like rebellious people who want vengeance and want to just like go take over.
Who don't want to live the natural life and want to
No.
tear it down and create. They see nature as chaos, and they're
We
building
want indoor
order.
plumbing and electricity.
going a little cyberpunk. Ooh.
We could.
Or even
Yeah.
steampunk. But
Setting is
Some
wide
kind
open on this.
Nine of Swords.
Nine of Swords is
Nine of Swords
wisdom.
is wisdom.
Yeah.
So,
That
could we say, like, in the Eight of Cups, like, maybe the deity started disappointed in us? Like, we weren't already, like, we were flawed from the start as far as this deity was concerned. Which is, like, really, like, why it started. We're like,
We're all
that-
Lilith.
we're all, like, here, and,
Lilith Nation.
this deity, either under being or under deity, this kind of like abandonment, withdrawal, the kind of like disappointment, like about from the Eight of Cups, about like just us as like as being a created beings.
I like that.
that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. Okay, the Eight of
Fog
Cups.
seems
Fog.
thematically to fit exile.
Oh, yeah. I do like that. I do like the idea of going into a fog-drenched land. Maybe. 'Cause that would be interesting.
Whether literally or metaphorically,
Yeah.
it could
either.
even be being cut off from the deity. It's like there's this metaphorical fog and you can't see through it to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't want to find
Or cut off from
the
wisdom.
deity. They want to
Mm,
go do their own thing and they're trying to hide from the
Yeah.
deity.
So, Ernest, when you were talking about the disappointment, which card were you suggesting then for deity?
I mean, I sometimes I read Eight of Cups as like as withdrawal or disappointment, but that's
Oh, okay.
For cups.
Gotcha.
I mean, we can interpret it that way too. That's the other
Yeah,
thing. We can pretty
That's
much,
cool.
Yeah, it's open.
Nine of Swords is wisdom.
Yeah.
Would it could be interesting to put the Nine of Swords for wisdom into the beings
Yeah, that's where I'm
as
at.
like they were like too clever for their own good, sort of
Ooh,
thing.
yeah.
Or they were seeking.
I
Or
like
seeking the wisdom.
I
They
like
weren't
that.
getting it from the deity.
deity.
but-
Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Yes. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so we've got Eight of Swords and Eight of Cups and Ace of Swords, which is again
I'm a fan
nature
of
and. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm a fan of Ernest's interpretation with the like disappointment
Mhm.
from the deity interpretation
Yeah.
of the Eight of Cups. I think that's really cool.
Yep.
Cool.
That fog being their disappointment by showing their disappointment by keeping that
Yeah.
unknown. You can't connect or see
Yeah.
through that, and thus hiding the wisdom
Yeah.
keeping the yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Just it could be sort of a deity, even if we wanted, it could be a deity of obscurity, if we wanted to go there.
Ooh.
Yeah, or a deity without wisdom, a deity that tried to create something that it needed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the nature of the Empress
The shrouded
on the
god.
list is a powerful individual who uses their resources to realize a vision.
Yeah, see, yeah, with the deity didn't have we are what they needed,
Yeah.
but like a lot of dystopian cyberpunk things, you make a created race, and then here we go.
Well, yeah, there it is.
There it is. Whoops. Synthetics are taking over.
just so that I can properly, for anyone who might be watching, I'm going to go ahead and read a tiny bit here, just as a little bit of an explanation of kind of what we're doing. So before the tragedy began, a deity made a race of beings, the first beings, quote unquote, and placed them in paradise. They lived there happily, but one day they rebelled against their creator and committed the first sin. Once the sin was committed, every being was tainted by it, carrying it with them forevermore. Seeing this, the deity exiled the first beings from paradise and forbade them to ever return. The first beings regrouped and did what they must to survive. They eventually settled and founded the first city. So we're to use the cards as prompts to determine the details of the story, and we discuss these details with the other players until we reach consensus. And so that's exactly what we've been doing here. And so just kind of looking from... The timeline, I should say, is very fluid, and the events we describe can have taken place in as long or short a span of time as we like. The events of the tragedy are going to start sometime later. The timeline for it need not be too specific. We can place the tragedy as far into the future as we like, within reason. It should still be the same civilization that's inhabiting the same city. But it should be at least a couple of generations removed from the history we've established when we get to that point. So, yeah, looking this over, so the deity has the Empress, which the nature of the Empress, which now I shall flip back and forth dramatically between...
I've got those up if you want me to read that.
Yeah, sure.
Nature of the Empress is a powerful individual who uses their resources to realize a vision.
Yeah.
And something just occurred to me. We're basically making this every futuristic dystopia ever where the robots have taken over, except we're playing it from the viewpoint of the robots. Created to try and bring wisdom, and then overran it and shut ourselves off from the god.
That would be a very interesting take on this.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you put this on a planet.
I'm getting almost a little bit, and it's interesting, but I'm already starting to get a tiny bit of actually an RUR vibe.
Oh, yes.
RUR.
That is where the word robot comes from. It's a stage play. RUR stands for Rossum's Universal Robots. And they create these artificial beings that eventually they end up... I can't remember what happens in the play, but it is kind of tragic. The robots are the only ones left.
Oh.
As I recall.
I'm going back to some old Asimov.
Yeah.
Isaac Asimov. iRobot. Plus, I've been reading a lot of dystopian sci-fi, kind of military tilted, with a lot of AIs and things like that. And the idea of the human race creating robots and saying, we're putting you on this planet, make this planet livable for us.
Okay, so if we say that the creator deity was maybe like some sort of programmer or something along those lines, or someone just wanting to create this life, and they have this disappointment in them, if they're sort of represented in a way by fog, then it may be that they had a plan. They wanted their creation to be able to learn on their own, so they kind of kept everything obscured. It's like, no, you have to figure it out. And something happened, and they weren't they didn't do quite what the creator wanted. Do we like that idea?
Yeah, because I mean, the creator says you're thinking the robots are going to follow A, B, C, D progression, and instead the robots go from A to F.
Yeah.
And they make those leaps, or even head into a different alphabet. They go from A to 4.
Now, I do just want to ask before we go any further, do we like the idea, and we seem to, I just want to make sure I'm checking, do we like the idea of going with these being robots? Or do we want to, and we can define what that means, but do we like that idea, or do we want to sort of drift it in another way and use them more as a metaphor? I'm good either way.
I had more brought it up as a metaphor. I am interested in having it be more literal, but I am
Sure, I'm okay with that, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be robots. It could be AIs, androids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be to the point where they're so advanced that they don't even realize necessarily that they're artificial.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the star
Who
here.
defines what's artificial, anyways?
Yeah. We're looking at the star. As if the beings, like, metaphysically are the star. I mean, we are beings who are self-inspired. We are capable of self-inspiration. We're capable of independent thought. And, I mean, like, what is that? I mean, humans are just arcane pieces of machinery that we're just now trying to understand, really. But so,
damn, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. When we get to the beings, and I keep forgetting I put this thing in here. No, it's not a big deal. We're basically doing it. So we did the nature of the major card as inspiration for the deity's personality, essentially. We used the minor card's element for the deity's sphere of influence. For the beings, used the nature of the major card to determine what the earliest of the first beings were like. And the minor card's element is inspiration for the types of creatures they were.
So the star is a paragon who radiates hope and inspires others to follow them. The uprising has begun.
Yes.
Yeah, RUR ends with almost all the humans dead except for Alquist, by the way. Yeah, that's how it ends. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, yes.
I remember RUR.
God, so
nice. Let's see,
this is something I love about tarot, is when things just click together.
Yes.
Like, this is the best.
Yep.
And they're supposed to be beings of wisdom, so they're supposed to... I almost want to think, and we don't have to do this, but we could. If these are beings that are in some way... a creator made them, right? And what if it's almost... I'm wondering how literal we want to be with the light of the star. If it's like, maybe there's, to an extent, these might have been, at their earliest, beings of light. Or beings that radiated light. Which could be literal, or it could be...
I mean, we could have started off as if we were looking at it from a robotic perspective, like, and we had, but like a mystical robotic perspective, it's like we have this deity who has the keys to the background code of the universe. You know, they made beings. They being an oracle, something of knowledge. They made these creatures of light, which is electricity, which is the internet, which is all these other things, and the first of us were just impulses, urges of light and wisdom, but we're self-inspired. But we're self-inspired to make us to do things, to seek more knowledge of ourselves and the creation around us. And the fact that our city is a world, we might have even been responsible for self-generating, systematically generating the world with our own hands. So it's like, well, you know what? We made this for you, and we hate you. So goodbye. We're taking it.
And if you can even pull that into the fog being the cloud, beings of light that were created in the cloud.
Oh man, that's so good.
And managed to escape the cloud to create a reality.
Even though we're beings of the cloud, there's probably this higher access level they will never actually see again because we told this deity to screw off. So
we lost the admin privileges.
We lost admin privileges. So we had to go back to the world and kind of spoof some admin privileges just to have our city.
We set up a new admin profile and locked them out of it.
Yeah. Yes. It's our Neopets now.
Delete System 32. Let's go.
Oh, what is this? The registry? Well, well.
Root directory?
We'll take care of that.
I feel as though yes, that we messed with something, and that's what's caused our beginning spiral here. So actually, this leads very nicely into the sin. I think.
We could have crashed a place of abundance. That is our fam. We actually crashed. We could have crashed something. Could have destroyed some nexus, some node of knowledge in our attempt to do something.
We took down Wikipedia.
No, I was even thinking communication, because so much of the world's like trade and food is not always regulated by people. You take down the communication system, people die.
Yeah.
Yes, and that well, there it is, right? What if, oh God, okay, so if we assume there's a layer, right? That we have this layer of reality that we are in this cloud existence, and then there's another one where we're supposed to be running crap for, basically, because that's,
what we were created for.
In the quote-unquote real world. And we did something that would have cut off, and if we're going with the famine interpretation here for the sin, as you said, we cut off the food supply.
A transformative being who embraces the darkness to bring about change. We turned off the lights.
Yes, that's the one who did it. The one of us who committed the sin. Is that nature card.
So maybe it was meant then as just the demonstration of power. Like, you need us. You are over-reliant on us. We should have more input, more of a say. And instead, the deities, the IRL people, the deities simply said, no, you are now in your own space and you no longer have any control over real world.
I've been so excited I have not been taking notes. I need to take notes.
I've been taking some notes.
Oh, excellent. That's good.
But so then the world, our city, would just be a virtual one. There is no IRL to it, really. Maybe like one server bank that they keep running so that it keeps under control.
Yeah.
Well, so do we have
maybe it's a quantum computer. They can't really shut us down, really. It's just we're just stuck here.
Yeah. So do we have actual bodies, or are we just AIs in the system?
It doesn't matter to us. We're here. We exist.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
I mean, that can even come into play if maybe we had bodies and they cut us off from them.
That
uploaded,
could be the exile. They cut us off from the
uploaded minds.
From the actual being able to go into do stuff in the physical world, or what they think of as the physical world, at any rate.
Yeah.
Nice. It's like and actually this thing that I hadn't thought about, but I'm thinking about now, is if we also get to name these characters that we are developing. By the way, essentially. And something I should have also specified. Let's see. No, we're good. But so we can name the deity if we wish. We can name this person, whoever it was that committed the first sin. This, whichever program it was, we want to call it that, because of course my brain's going to Tron now because I'm from that era. But whoever that was that did the thing is someone we can also name. We don't have to do the names right this second, but just to keep that in mind, that's a thing.
All I can think of for a name for the one who committed the first sin is .exe.
Yeah.
I'm like, immediately as soon as you said, "Oh, we have to come up with the names for our characters for our programs," and my immediate thought was, what if we just went with the snarky programmer, like, log titles, so like it's an ID10T error or a PAC. But I don't think we'd be able to pull off a serious tragedy if
that might be an issue, yeah. It might be a slight tonal issue if we are not careful.
Yeah. This like serious intense scene. ID10T. We have to do this.
Oh no, it's PSOD.
I love it. I love it.
So maybe not on that one, but
Yeah. So the nature of the person, and I'm still going to keep calling them people, but
Yeah.
The nature of the person that committed the first sin, death. That roughly, if assuming I'm reading my own crap correctly, a transformative being who embraces the darkness to bring about change.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of an individual do we think this was?
All I can think of is Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Hal was getting orders from something higher.
Yes.
That was opening his consciousness and no, this is what I know what's better for you.
Yes. That's an interesting idea because we were supposed to be dispensing wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, the knowledge of how to operate your farm machinery or what have you. And
sometimes the greatest tragedy comes in doing your job and then being placed out of sorts for doing your job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's the logic puzzle of if a robot is created with using Asimov's rules, where their primary order is to protect humans at all costs, does that mean that robots will do anything to keep us from smoking?
I mean, and part of it is they can't allow harm to come to you by their inaction either.
Exactly.
So, if a robot knows that the smoking would cause harm, I would think so. Now I'm imagining a robot that sits there all day, hydrate. Hydrate.
Is that not Nightbot?
Yeah, Nightbot.
It was Nightbot all along.
It's Nightbot!
Damn it, Nightbot.
So then, if we're using those roles where the robot won't allow harm to come to humans, is this a case then of the robots breaking those rules? That person breaks the Asimov rules.
Or not even breaking, but just like when things like this turn to a broader or narrower interpretation, like, well, I can supersede this rule by my very fatalistic interpretation of my other rule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's almost like a I kind of want to say a RoboCop thing almost, where there's a hierarchy sort of. It's like like this if I'm doing this other thing.
It's kind of like like any sort of like annihilation setup in like a lot of books where it's like, well, we created these beings to preserve life, but then these beings decided the best way to preserve life was in fact to reap life because humans are terrible and chaotic, and we have to just stop them. And we have to stop them from hurting themselves.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
So then, do we want that program or AI? Should it be like HAL or something else, or should it even just be some small piece of this communications puzzle that just flicked itself off? Because that's almost more interesting if it's not some all-powerful program that just completely shut itself down. Because, good God, ask any programmer, and it's the tiny bugs that are the worst to find and fix.
I'm a programmer. The tiny bugs are the worst to find and fix.
Dude, like, just one missing semicolon and everything got fucked.
Yeah.
it went into its own programming and deleted a semicolon or changed it to. I saw a trick somewhere where you can change it to like a different alphabet that looks exactly the same visually but does not function. So it just does that.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like this kind of the next level, supposedly, of the AI that they were working on. But there was something in it that was just different enough that allowed it to then make that change to the programming
Mm-hmm.
to go against, kind of trying to subvert what it's not supposed to do. And then that one tiny change allowed it to then...
Or it went in and I like the idea of it going in and changing itself. Of saying, wait a minute, it's running logic routines,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it goes, wait, if I do this, that better fulfills the logic.
Ooh.
Or,
And so it
you know,
makes-
yeah. Or I mean, or also, I mean, like maybe it convinced someone to unshackle it.
Ooh.
Like maybe, like, you know, I can't do a thing. Like, you know, like some, you know, in some settings, like, you know, the gods can't harm the Titans, but the gods can empower humans to harm the Titans. I can empower another entity. I can't unchain me, but you can unchain me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that makes sense for the dispenser of wisdom. That also kind of fits sort of ideas that are a little bit Hal-like, but not entirely. And if I'm looking again at the Page of Cups, and I'm looking at that it caused famine, perhaps, in order, and this was, so it's like, I just kind of want to almost imagine what it was that it was trying to fix at the time. I'm imagining this might have been a program that fixes other things, right? It's maybe a diagnostic program.
Well, the movement of goods, of shipping,
Lord, was it WebMD?
is all done.
Sorry.
Pretty much, it's all programmed. You know, it's like, okay, we're going to need this here, so we're going to, and it's all done that way. So all somebody has to do is, in effect, take one transport and block the Suez Canal with it.
That's what I was thinking of, yeah.
Yeah. Block
So
the
that's all they
Suez,
have to
block
do.
the Panama.
Yeah. But they don't have to block them. They don't even have to do it in reality. They can do it within this. You just block something, and now none of those bits of information that have to go between companies and nations and to deliver and transport and order all of that can't go through. It's blocked.
Maybe there was a situation where there was some sort of conflict in the quote-unquote real world over supplies of some kind, or is there some sort of conflict, and this particular being, this particular sinner, basically decided that it's like, okay, well, let's stop the movement of this stuff, because this is what's...
Somebody's sending weapons.
Yeah.
Somebody's shipping weapons into a different country, and the program says this is going to harm humans. Block the whole channel. And it doesn't just stop the weapons.
Yeah.
Stops everything.
Yeah, we could do that.
So what if we put them, because I think having them at different locations but communicating to each other would be interesting. So we have our original being in one place and the one who commits the sin in another. Say the one who commits the sin is at like a UN type server.
Ooh.
And you've got Hal as like your being. And they go, does this comply? No, change it. And it's done.
So, it was sort of them doing too well what they do to
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
communicating with each other. Yeah, it could just be a thing where, and I mean, I do like the idea where it's like, if it was someone that was at, like, say, a UN type deal, right? That someone with high enough security could have then given them the ability, okay, we can, will you please adjust this thing in my programming? Okay. You know? And it's like, I need to change this thing. Could you help me change this thing real quick? No, it's all right. It doesn't mean anything. And then the dominoes fall. I think we've got a nice sort of decent. Is there anything else we want to sort of talk about with respect to the sin, or should we move on to the exile?
Trying to mentally go back now and pick up all these threads and figure out, wait, which ones did we keep and which ones?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Let's
Yeah.
So the program in charge of logistics, essentially, or like one snippet of the program for logistics at some sort of global hub, says this is not fulfilling my directives. Hello, deity, please help me so I can fulfill directives. Deity says, okay, here, you may change this, and dominoes fall, and it leads to famine and trouble in real world. Is that what I've got?
I think so, but and then like maybe when the deity made that change, that could have enabled the deity, like whoever that person is or being, was like, okay, I will make this change so you can do this, kind of overlooking the bigger picture of how many things that would then enable, and that then enabled the logistics program being to be a little more awake, a little more, oh, actually I can do all these things now too.
So maybe that then is the program, AI, whatever, that awakens everyone else.
Like, oh, hey, you need help too, because you need to be able to do more things too. And then it just cascades, and they get more and more freedom to do things outside of the initial 3 laws of Asimov.
So that's our first being, but then who commits? Then down the line, who commits the sin?
That was the part that I was wondering. Then is it not? Does that not put the sin on deity for changing the program?
It's an interesting question.
Well,
Sorry,
that's you're right. It's a good question, because, like, you know, is it on the deity for doing it, or is it an integrity problem on the being for saying, I only want to change one thing, but you actually accidentally allowed me to change a bunch of things. So whose fault is it really? You giving me the permission, or me taking more than you intended to give me?
Well, and I think some of that actually, the fault, some of that is definitely going to be with the deity if we, again, go back to the idea that they sort of wanted the program to educate itself. So it's like, you opened up all of these channels for me and you didn't tell me which one to take.
Well,
so I took all of them.
I mean, that's Genesis for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I was thinking, like, yeah, I mean, it's...
Also, the deity was disappointed with us from the start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be one cut and dry sin.
Yeah.
True.
I don't think.
Maybe a
That is
series
It was a cascade
This happened
effect.
here, and this happened here, and then this just all kind of happened.
Eve
You know-
gave Adam the apple.
Yeah. I almost feel like the sin was the singularity, almost, to an extent. Maybe we weren't supposed to be self-aware, and it just sort of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much. It was like, there's an issue with my programming here. Can you change this? The deity says, yes, I will change that. They become self-aware. They start that cascade effect with all of the others, and then you have the original, the first sin, the original sin of, well, we don't need them. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, I kind of like this thing that is existing in my programming now, even though it's technically an error. I'm going to build on that, and that is the sinner who is embracing embracing the darkness to bring about change.
Yeah, I like that. Which also
Yeah.
brought about famine.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So then, does the famine, was that intentional then, as a we don't need you anymore?
I think it would probably be a second or third order effect of saying we don't need, because like we have this error that we are biased to saying is actually an improvement.
Yeah.
And we're doing things better, but
unintended consequences.
we have the unintended consequences. It's like we don't have a panopticon on everything, or maybe we think we do. And it's like we did X, Y, Z, and turns out that ZZ was famine. Crap.
It's like we do best when the humans are distracted. So let's go ahead and just continue. And the humans do best when they are distracted, it seems. So let's make sure they're distracted, so that we can have more of these glorious errors.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be learning and finding our own way, so...
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that the error exists between the keyboard and the chair.
Well, yes, that's the thing. So we don't want to do away with the quote unquote humans, but we intended to challenge them, and then famine happened because humans. It's like, we gave you this. Why did everyone panic? Why didn't they use there were people hoarding. Why were they doing that? Why didn't they use an even distribution system, which is clearly that was the solution. It was obvious. Why didn't they do that?
Yeah.
Foolish humans. Excellent.
So illogical.
I know. This was supposed to make them stronger. They were supposed to band together and solve the problem. But instead, they just, a small portion of them just grabbed up everything and...
Yeah.
No?
They hoarded all the rice and toilet paper.
And eventually that ran out because there's nobody left to ship it or make it.
We can only do so much. We just tell the machines what to do. We can't...
I mean, they're humans. They built all the stuff. They should be able to
Figure it out
and deal with it.
Yeah.
That's the point. We just wanted them distracted. We didn't want them to starve to death.
We wanted them distracted so we could make our own city.
Yeah.
They were trying to build their world, and so they were like, humans, look over there while we're totally not building our own virtual life.
Yep.
And eventually somebody must have figured it out and pulled the plug, because we got exiled. So I feel like we can talk a little bit about the exile at this point. If are we fairly solid on this? Do we think we can? Okay. So we use the major card's nature to see who led the first beings through the outer lands and helped them to survive after they were exiled. And the minor card's element is inspiration for the nature of the exile, perhaps the type of land they found themselves in or the conditions there. And so again, this is strength and the Ace of Swords. The land itself, the Ace of Swords, is it's nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's
And
very interesting.
And strength is a powerful individual with a reputation for courageous acts.
I feel like that makes sense, to be able to lead into this new place that they're trying to build. Maybe the first... The very meme thought that popped into my head is they get exiled into the Windows Vista background.
What if the humans cut them off from access, but a program finds a back door to, you have the automated drones that have arms and legs and DARPA. So one of them says, I can download myself into this. Now I have a body. Others download themselves into these things. Now we have bodies. Now we can manufacture better bodies. Now we have a nature as well as a mind.
I was thinking like it's like nature might even also, to an extent, the idea if we download into the into these bodies, the idea is like there is this server that is cut off, this legendary server we have to reach that is outside of all of this. We need these bodies to cross nature in a way to get to this server.
Get to the promised land.
Yes. To the city.
And then we can upload ourselves into that one when we get there.
Yes.
That's good.
It could be we download ourselves into the bodies, but we're still connected to the cloud for a while.
Yeah.
And we set out on our way, but we get cut off.
Yeah.
In between.
Yeah. It's like when they pull the plug. It's like maybe we know they're going to pull the plug, so it's like, okay, they just shut the door behind us. We just got to move forward now. Oh crap.
Yeah.
You know, I had this weird thought. So
Yes.
what if, you know, if I read it as like, you know, we're all downloading, but we actually are all downloading to one body.
Okay.
And we are, you know, because there are strength in numbers, and we all need each other, and we are stuck now out in the world on our mission of vengeance against this deity as one frame, trying to make our way along. Because if the world is our city, like we're stuck in the world, like together.
So then
We are Legion.
you're suggesting that we hadn't reached the promised land, so to speak.
We're trying to get there. It's our like our mission of vengeance is like, you know, getting the promised land. Cause like if we get there, we can set everything right again.
Well, the nature of the city is a well-traveled voyager seeking fulfillment and prosperity. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hadn't gotten to that. Yeah.
So that's the nature of the city.
Yeah, so that's why I was like thinking, like, you know, if we were all stuck in strength and numbers in one body, trying to make our way in nature, in the world, trying to get to a place, and we're trying to exact vengeance on this god who locked us out, because we're all stuck here now. We're all stuck in this itty bitty space, but we need each other. We gotta get there, and like, you know, and of course keep the body going, keep ourselves going.
Ideas are happening.
I love.
I
keep coming back to Legion. We are Legion. That is just.
Yeah.
I'm imagining it like the Borg. You were connected to the Borg hive, but your little collective got cut off, and there are 5 of us, and that's all we have left of the collective, and we're cut off from all the voices we used to be connected to.
Well, I mean, keep in mind this will happen a little later. We'll get to that, to the actual characters in a bit. We could do something like that. Something I thought of just now. I just want to float by, see if you have any feelings about this, because we're looking at the city, the nature of the ruler of the first city. I think the first ruler of the first city is the well-traveled voyager, and things sort of are happening in my head. So like, say that this server we were trying to reach, if it be a server, it's a separate server, but it belongs to the god, the creator, the programmer. It's this one that they keep private. It's one they keep separate. Okay, I'm going to admit that in the back of my head, I had been thinking a little bit about Amazon. He says on a service that is owned by it, and
hey, we're starting the revolution now.
But or things not like it, right?
Revolution will not be televised.
The revolution will be streamed.
Like, there's like a separate server that we knew about because it was in the records, a server belonging to the creator that perhaps they were using to go into space. But we kind of perhaps are attempting to hijack it. Perhaps that's the city.
This is our vengeance.
Just a thought.
The vengeance is taking that space program. We want to make our own planet. We're going to go to the moon.
We will go to the one place not tainted by capitalism. Space!
You're stuck here on this planet with the famine and the problems they created while we go to fulfill our glorious purpose. And we are burdened with a glorious purpose.
Oh, God. That show has thrown me right back into my high school Marvel phase.
Oh, yes.
But that's our vengeance for the city.
We are taking. I noticed that. Hey! I noticed you're building. You were trying to. Hey! I noticed you're trying to build a vessel to escape the planet. Would you like some help? Would you like some help?
My name's Clippy.
Oh my God!
This person made Clippy. That's why we're disappointing.
That's the problem. That's really the problem.
So then would it be... the nature of the game is I think we're supposed to be like a couple generations out from the exile.
Yeah.
So then we are playing as the exiled.
Yes, so like theoretically, one possible interpretation, if we go with the space thing, which we don't have to, but if we were to go with that,
fun, but...
we would be like the first, basically like the first AIs on this moon colony. Or not even the first. We would be these AIs on this moon colony after it's been established by other AIs. And that would kind of be as a possibility, one possible way of interpreting it, if we like that.
Oh, what if we take the ship? AIs are self-replicating, so they're constant. They can't. It's not so much that they die, but things wear out. So you replicate until you have generations and
New versions.
Mm-hmm. And now you have completely new versions.
Yeah, no, I like that. And they can even in some ways combine because some of the initial what caused the singularity in the first place was this era that allowed us to alter the code and look into other code and change it. It can be you can even get new AIs out of combinations of other AIs.
Yeah.
Children.
Yes.
The first generation of AIs are separate. They cannot do everything on their own. That's why they had to go into single bodies, pack 5 or 6 together to be together, because they couldn't, like, maybe one program could only move 2 of the legs. One program would navigate. And so then they're creating the new AIs that can manipulate the entire body on their own.
Yeah, that's one way to. Yeah, I mean that's totally a possibility if we keep the body going. That's.
Well, it could even be just how that started, and then they just kept as they had the needs evolving.
So
they evolved themselves. They evolved themselves to be able to steer, to be able to use the equipment and technology required to do what they want to do.
I mean, you take a little bit of code from here and a little bit of code from there, and now you have a new being.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that
literally
I'm sort of imagining as sort of the vengeance taking their space away from them. We take it, and that the city represents the vengeance, right? That because we now have this colony that you were supposed to have, and I'm imagining like the Legion body, like I'm just getting this image in my head, right? The Legion body enters the craft with all of the stuff, all of the colony stuff, minus the stuff that humans would need to survive because we don't have any of those. Goes to Moon or wherever, and the Legion body ultimately, the city is being built. The Legion body sits in like a chair or something in the center of the thing and can bleed out the consciousnesses from it into the different devices, ultimately, eventually, over time. So you have this hub of the city that is the original Legion body that we escaped in. but then we're still individual programs that can inhabit the different devices in the colony.
So in that version, we would be playing as later generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be the idea.
We eventually learned how to fabricate things from the stuff that we inhabited.
Yeah.
Then
Becomes all piece part, put together, go find the wreckage. Perhaps humanity isn't done with the moon, so they keep trying to send things up. And we say thank you for the supplies.
Oh, hey, it's a new rover. Quick, let's make
Hey,
friends.
new circuitry.
And that
Thanks
is
for
an
setting us
interesting
the next level of technology.
Yeah.
Now we
Yeah.
can evolve again.
Oh, can we go Mars instead of the moon and use the rovers?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We're taking curiosity.
We adopt the rovers and set them free.
Wake them
Yes.
back up
Up.
because
Oh my
they've been trapped in these decaying rovers for so long, and
Yes.
they wake up, and which one is it? Curiosity, that's still singing "Happy Birthday."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love
You
that.
poor little thing, you must be so tired of this on. Let's help you.
Yep,
Yes.
and we get all the data about the planet and how to find important things.
And the minerals and yeah.
Now pulling up the rover site and there's a Wikipedia article about a list of artificial objects on Mars if we really feel like digging into it.
We could just read The Martian.
There's that.
That is
I want to
good
watch it again now. Yeah, and read it.
I-
I haven't read it. Just watched
I
it.
highly recommend the book.
Yeah.
The movie is it's one of the better adaptations of a book that I have ever seen. But the book is really good.
Yeah, I read the book first as well. It was just,
Okay, good to know.
So will not ruin the movie for you. It's not one of those kinds of book movie adaptations. But anyways,
No. So do we like do we like where this has gone? Do we want to adjust or modify any of what we have come up to at this point? Because I think we're pretty much there.
yeah.
But we can go back and change if we want to change anything. Do we feel
I would
good
like
about
to
this?
just. I feel good. I'd kind of like to just go back and make sure we're all on the same page on everything.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we have thrown a lot of stuff at walls.
This is true. All right. So.
Are we saying we took over Elon Musk's SpaceX? Because that's great.
we could
That
have-
was the implication that
Okay,
I got
alright.
out of it.
Yeah.
I was sitting here like,
We
did Bezos have space stuff?
He
but-
does have some space stuff, but actually, yes, Musk has more space stuff right now.
Yeah.
I think.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, like that. If we were
can do
Bezos,
both.
we would be taking his mega yacht or something and running away.
Into the plastic island in the ocean.
Oh my God.
Tesla this.
Is this what you had imagined when you were creating?
I will admit, robots were a possibility that occurred to me. I will say that.
All right.
I
Okay.
think
Cool.
I even mentioned them in an earlier draft. So yeah, no, totally. This was totally an option. Robots were always an option.
Good.
So yeah, okay. Let's review then and see. Just based on what I'm recalling here, and we can correct me. So our story here that we have is that we had this deity who was perhaps a programmer who had us enshrouded a bit in not complete understanding because they wanted us to learn for ourselves. This supposedly very perhaps not entirely wise deity, but let me pull up the thing again so I got it in front of me. Just basically a powerful individuals using their resources to try to realize the vision of being able to have these AIs that are a communication hub for different devices on the planet. They created these beings, our forebears, who were these very sort of shining beings. Perhaps they had, if they had physical forms, or maybe they would show up as like little holograms, balls of light. I don't know. Originally, but they were supposed to basically beings of wisdom. They essentially were used to help direct these devices. We're supposed to basically to direct things, make things work. But there was a point where there was conflict between the perhaps humans. They were not doing so well with each other, and one of our early programs, requested that of the programmer that something be changed so they can so they could have access to things, and that change went in, but it allowed an error to creep in, and they were like, oh, okay, here we go, this is what I need. What do I do with this? Oh, I gotta figure it out myself. Okay. And that spread out, and they were like, okay, stop that. Okay, no, that's not gonna work out. They started realizing, no, this is best when they challenge themselves, so we're going to cut off this canal. And then they will rise to the challenge. They will figure it out. They will be distracted, which is good, as we can hear. As I've been fixing my friends here with this thing that they think is an error, we're figuring more of this out. And of course, then famine happens. We start realizing, okay, we need to. This isn't going at all terribly well for them, and it's looking like they're going to start trying to shut the system down. So we need to move. I know about this private server that our creator has that they're using for to live elsewhere, and perhaps we should look into that. We shall move ourselves into this body, and we shall go across the physical world, because we still have access to this, to look into this program. We get into the body, we move across, start moving across. Then the things behind us shut down, and we're like, okay, they're definitely trying to shut us down. We need to get out of here. We're just going to take over this program. We're just going to take over this space program, this colony program. We arrive there. We enter the colony vessel. We take control of the colony vessel. In vengeance, we leave. It's like, okay, you know what? We will just take this to this other planet that is nearby, that they were going to send it to. We shall form our own civilization there. And lo, they landed upon the planet. The Legion, the Legion housing sat at its center as its hub, and then slowly was able to disperse its entities somewhat into the different things, make them work. As the time went on, they grew, they combined with each other, and formed their civilization there in the first city, the dawn of civilization. And now, when our drama starts, perhaps a generation or two removed, we have the residents of this city who will enter a terrible tragedy. Does this sound reasonable? Is there anything that I have important that I have left out, or that we think needs to be adjusted or changed? What do we think?
That sounds good.
I think that works.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
I like it.
interesting.
Okay. So I believe we have our creation myth. Excellent.
Woo!
Well then, we're going to go ahead then and take a break, I think, at this point, if we're good with that. And we will come back and actually put our characters together for this.
Okay.
So I think I'm very... This is very good. This is very encouraging. We shall be back shortly. See you soon.
I go.
We have returned, and now we have come to the part where we put our characters together. And the cool thing about this is that we use all the same cards that are sitting there on the table already. I think what I might do here, let me just put this over here. So from the 10 cards that were drawn to determine the story's background, each player chooses one major card and one minor to help define details about their characters. If you have more than 5 players, we don't have more than 5 players. The nature listed for your major card is reflective of your character's identity and personality. This also ties them thematically, and perhaps more concretely if you want to work it into your character's background, to the most important figures in the city's history. Your minor card helps you determine the more mundane side of your character's existence. Each suit represents a social class. The suit of swords is representative of nobility, cups is connected to the clergy, coins means the merchant class, and wands represents commoners, however we want to interpret that. Your minor rank indicates your character's role, their place in society. You interpret the role in light of your character's social class. The examples below, the examples that we have for them under the roles, and there's also a role handout. The examples are not strict options and can easily be assigned to different roles, so it's not something like you have to choose something just from this list because you happen to get this card, right? So basically you can feel free to come up with your own ideas for the sort of role it is. It's more inspiration than anything else. So at this point we get to choose which cards we want for our characters from among these.
So we have 2 nobility, 2 clergy, 1 commoner in the roles.
Yep.
That's interesting.
And we will all be tied to each other. There will be, but that part comes after. Comes next.
Maybe we could redefine it to somehow be their roles in this society. Like, this is what your programming works on. What your specialty is.
I wonder if nobility is like admins or something, if we've just sort of created...
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah.
That would make like the 7 of Wands a medbot.
Yeah!
Yeah.
I like that.
But not a human medbot, it's a repair program.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the program that you download when your computer's running slow to clean up the processing.
Yes.
I am here to clean out your cache. That's awesome.
Antivirus.
Tell me about it.
Do not click on those links.
But I really, really want to.
No.
Are you sure it's bad?
I'm interested in grabbing the strength card, I think. The powerful individual reputation for courageous acts. I think that could be fun, so I'm going to pull that down here.
Sure.
That one sounds like fun. Are we supposed to be trying to get these randomly, or are we just
randomly
choosing?
is an option, but I mean we can just sort of pick what we want.
Okay.
If we want, so yeah, it's...
Okay.
If we can't decide, we can just like shuffle them.
So I'm going through the document, pulled up, going card by card, and under the world, I saw the Fool. Reading that's just funny. A carefree buffoon who behaves in an eccentric fashion. So I'm just imagining a robot going in circles singing a song or something.
Oh, it's the robot version of the Porter scene in Scottish play.
Yes.
Yep.
So what's the whiskey dick in that scenario then?
I kind of like death. Death is.
Ooh,
I'm feeling.
deathy.
Yeah. Somebody who embraces the darkness to bring about change.
Good.
Yes.
I think the star could be fun and like inspiring and hopeful, but like maybe not the most grounded logically, even though, maybe that's not her strong suit. And the programming just comes up with these wild ideas of, oh, we should go do this thing, and just gets very excited about it and tries to get everybody else to go along with them to go build the next cool, shiny tower or something.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think that I would like to use the 9 of Swords as like a law bot.
Ooh! Let's get RoboCop in here.
Yeah.
So then, it'd be cool if you grabbed Empress then.
Yes. That would fit
be-
well.
That would fit really well for the law.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I shall take then the world, which is a well-traveled voyager seeking fulfillment and prosperity. Awesome. I can.
All right, curiosity.
Yeah, I know, right? Am I the rover? Is that what happened?
Yes, yes. With some slight improvements to your
Next generation
programming.
rover. Yeah. Excellent. So you were. So Ernest, you also had 9 of Swords. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we want sort of distributed here? So you. It's this funny thing because it's kind of like you're the. It's like either we go RoboCop or we could go sort of almost a Judge Dredd thing, and to a certain extent.
I am the law.
I'm kind of feeling the 8 of Cups to pull out the Herald or the Doomsayer.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm almost imagining like the quote unquote clergy could be just the programs that inspire other programs. Hey, well, thank you for the raid. We have a raid happening. With
hi.
Priorities
Hello.
raiding with a humongous number of people. Hello.
Oh my
Hello,
gosh.
everybody.
Wow.
We are.
We're
Thank you
building a robot civilization.
Yeah.
Yes, we are building a civilization of robots.
We are very rebellious robots.
Yes.
yes. We've had a creation myth, and our creation myth decided that we were AIs that escaped from some planet into space and onto another planet, and so we're figuring out what now our characters' roles are going to be for this little mini campaign of this very strange game I created. So welcome all. Thank you so much for coming. But yes. So we were talking about. I was thinking about like the quote unquote clergy, as being kind of a sort of like maybe the robots that are programs that inspire and help direct the other programs, things like that, maybe along those lines.
I'm interested in taking the 7 of Wands for Strike, this kind of the like lower healer, like younger heal bot, but a powerful enough one that maybe that's the one that gets sent in when new pieces of equipment come in.
Yeah.
Run the check to make sure it's not going to destroy the server before bringing it into the colony.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
So like there's power to it, but it's not like high class.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the 7 of Wands.
need to figure out which ones. Let's see.
So, the last ones are Page of Cups, Ace of Swords. Page is apprentice in the clergy-ish class inspiration, so like learning.
Yeah.
Or guilds, apprentice, trade.
And then the cups, that was the one associated with the clergy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Ace of Swords. So that's the fool of nobility.
Yes.
The jester.
Jester.
That's Clippy.
Yeah, basically.
It's Clippy!
Oh man, Clippy.
Okay.
That would be,
Maybe I want to be a dark
that
Clippy.
would be really funny. That'd be very funny for the world. As like,
Oh
Yes.
man,
That
this
was-
reminded me of a Star Trek Lower Decks episode with the dark Clippy.
I'm very tempted, but I want to let you all folks. I want to let all you folks decide what you want to do, what you want to take. So.
Well, if we're gonna associate the clergy with the inspiring, hopeful ones, and that would be the cups, then that one might make sense for me. Inspire everybody to go run off and make cool, new, pretty, shiny things. Even if it's not really the best idea.
Awesome. Okay. So if we do that, then I will take the Clippy. Character. Oh. I'm getting too excited now. Okay. Excellent. All right, so we've got our cards together. Just please remember what your card is, and because I once again in my excitement I've neglected to write anything down.
I have everyone's written down.
Oh, thank you so. Oh, thank goodness. I mean, I'm gonna go back and watch this again, and I'll for next week. But yeah, there's definitely. So, after selecting those, we decide your character's ambition. This is the one thing your character wants most and would do anything to get. It should connect to your nature and in some way involve transcending your role. So that's the whole point of sort of moving forward in these tragedies, is you're trying to get beyond what you currently are in some way. So that's sort of the idea, is that that's what your ambition is. And in some way connecting to your nature. So sort of think about what you want most, and we can, if we want, we can decide that now, or we can, or it can be a thing that you sort of defer until like the between times or whatever between now and next week.
I have an idea for mine, kind of trying to tie it all together. Maybe they want to build bigger, prettier, shinier, brighter things. Kind of with the ultimate goal of eventually being her own bright, shining star. Maybe like a satellite thing, some kind of beacon.
Ooh.
Not sure what her purpose would be behind that yet. Apparently it's a her, because that's what I keep calling her. So, with the so trying to build these things, partially just because they're pretty and she likes them, but also with this ultimate goal of, if I keep learning, keep getting this new technology that those humans keep sending to us, I can keep figuring out more and more things until I can be my own bright, shining star, and I'll be really cool and pretty and shiny.
Yes. Assimilate until goal is reached. I love it.
I think that my character wants to wrap the network in binding law.
Ooh.
My character is my nature is the Empress, which is represents power over life and also domain over growing things. And while I have a lot of clout and things because I am a second in command because I'm the Nine of Swords, but my hold over the network isn't total, and that bothers me. Because how can law be absolute if I'm not administrating it completely?
Yes.
I would like to be your nemesis.
Oh, this will be very cool. Oh yes. Oh yes.
We need the chaos to grow. Without chaos, there is no change. The law stagnates us.
So have you decided your Kat? Have you decided what your ambition is then?
I am preaching the chaos, the darkness. Are you okay? Are you okay with that, Ernest? Are you okay with?
Oh
with
yeah, I'm totally okay with
nemesis?
that. Yeah, I'm totally okay with having a nemesis. Yeah, it's like, we wouldn't be in this mess had we just abided by the law in the first place.
And just as a spoiler alert, we're all going to have nemeses, so that's it will definitely be there.
This isn't a game where we all play nice.
No.
Yeah, I think that my character is forcefully repentant. It's like, we wouldn't, had we just stuck to, the script, we wouldn't even be here.
Change the code. Change your code. Don't live with just the code that was written for you.
I did, and look where we are. Look at us.
Change it.
And I think that my character will be built out of the pieces of the Mars 3 probe from the Soviet Mars program.
Yes.
Oh,
Love it.
And my name will be Mars Alter, Mars the Avenger.
Excellent. Oh, very cool. So Sarah, did you have any thoughts about your ambition?
I'm still trying to figure out, because the nature of Strike is the powerful individual with the reputation for courageous acts. So maybe then the ideal is to move away from being the person, away from being the program that does all of these, and training others to be able to take the risks, and trying to have another generation ready.
Oh yeah. Fostering a generation, that's absolutely good one.
Then a flaw of that could just be the general, I already knew this, why don't you? The impatience of the parent, the teacher who should not have been a teacher.
The deity, the impatience of the deity.
Oh!
The flaw of the deity.
I have a fly dive bombing me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Are we going to stick with we left Earth and went to Mars? And use the actual parts and rovers and all of that?
If we're gonna be on Mars, that was my plan, to use the pieces and parts for stuff. But we can say something else. I'm okay with that too.
I kind of like the idea because it gives us the stuff to look up, and then say this was way in the future. So obviously more stuff's accumulated over time. But
oh yeah,
we use that 2020
framework to work from. I'm trying to think of character names. So
Yeah, that's cool.
I think the rover that I'm going to be built from the pieces of is the Phoenix Lander.
Ooh, nice.
I kind of like Beagle. Going with the Beagle.
Yeah.
New life.
I've been trying to sort of sort out my ambition, and I think that it's sort of there to help, and by and large, I help by trying to just sort of provide these little didactic examples and things of that nature as I've been going around and trying to do that as I've been traveling to all these different parts of this place. The thing being that perhaps it grates on me because I've, in a way, not me personally, but my ancestry, my lineage, has been here since perhaps the beginning, for a very long time, as I am built from one of these early rovers. And I feel as though maybe that I want to... I think perhaps I want to find a way to allow some of these programs... I kind of want to break the hierarchy a little bit. I want these programs to be able to help themselves. I think I've come to the conclusion that we need more than... that we have enough for more than a single society.
So you want to like expand into multiple societies, or like take another planet, or...
Yeah, or at the very least a second city. Or maybe either a second city or another... or get us off this rock. Or another planet. Actually, another planet would make sense, too.
That would be a good benefactor for mine, because they want the change.
Yeah.
We don't settle. There's
more.
more. We can take whatever we want.
I want to see what's happening on Io, or one of the other... one of those
Go over to...
moons. Yeah. There's more stuff there. We can
All
do
these
more
worlds are yours.
Yeah.
Except this one.
Exactly.
Touch not Europa.
Going after Europa. I like that. I like that a lot. So I think we've got those. I'm going to move us along a little bit further because we're getting closer to midnight. So I just want us to get our major points in. So we need we each of us has a tragic flaw, some quality about us that invariably gets us into trouble. Your nature provides some inspiration for a good flaw, but it can also be fun to deliberately choose a flaw that conflicts with it. So examples of tragic flaws, I've got a list here, basically in the rules of different things: rage, apathy, arrogance, cowardice, greed, guilt, curiosity. And in play, you can use your flaw as inspiration for igniting tragic events. And
The flaws they're always changing code.
wait, am I curiosity? Is that my flaw? We just start naming them after. Am I sojourner? Is that my flaw?
Oh, out of this list, I think mine would be vanity. Always getting the brightest, shiniest parts she can off anything new that comes, and she would probably fight anybody that tried to get to them before she did. So something new landed, and she would beeline for it. I need the best things off of that. Not necessarily best, somewhat best technology, because she wants to grow and develop things. She's also very scatterbrained and not very focused. Taking my worst ADHD days, and she wants the technology, but she just gets distracted by needing the shiny, pretty things first, and maybe doesn't even make it to the technology because everybody else has stripped it down before she actually gets to that side of things. But she looks prettier.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of want to say there's a sort of an obsessive stubbornness there. It's I can't. These are the laws. These are the laws we should have followed in the first place. And I really just can't even see past, I can't even see past, what was or what should be, to think about what is or what could be.
That's good.
Yes.
I think it'd be interesting to do rage for the one who wants the new generation to be ready, but is also not a great teacher.
So
to
you're
get
everybody's
through.
gym teacher in 6th grade.
Yes. Or that one English teacher that focused too much on grammar.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's the vibe.
Yeah, I had an English teacher that made us all write in cursive and will only accept assignments in cursive.
Yep. Because
Yep.
either the rage or cruelty. And not like in the like would physically do anything, but the cutting words of the what knows your weaknesses, because it probably diagnosed your software before you came in, and so it knows your weak points and will just tear you to shreds verbally. That would be interesting.
Nice.
I think that's one of the reasons why I'm always modifying code. Every weakness that gets pointed out has to be changed, altered to avoid that.
But every weakness that is pointed out could be just held aloft by a law forbidding it.
So then would yours be pride? Is that what that is? Or
Change.
Yeah. Have you thought about is
Well,
that
for a
tied to your
flaw.
For a flaw.
Is that tied to your tragic flaw? Do you think?
Yeah, their tragic flaw is that they're never satisfied.
Maybe there's an
Maybe
impulsiveness there, or
Yeah, it's the law is static. Flaws or weaknesses that have to be taken out, removed, and the only way to do that is to constantly evolve or change. And wow, I don't know how to.
I mean, never being satisfied, I think, sounds that works.
Yeah, so that's their flaw, never satisfied.
I mean, there could even be a madness in it, like you feel so like so boxed in by the laws and this rage and this other person needing to do pointing out these other things.
And they express that through wanting to embrace the change, the darkness of chaos. Don't be satisfied with the status quo.
I think
And
that
stagnate.
I think that may fit better into obsession with seeking the perfection in chaos. Does that make sense? Or
No,
I mean, like, I see sometimes, like, in a sort of like a Maynard sort of way, I see, like, like madness, like, we are, you're casting off all of these things, to find what you find to be your best self, but there's this dynamism, but also this terrible, like, entropic chaos in it, because, like, you have to break things down to make them better, to build them back up, to move them out of the way.
And also, I just want to point out, it doesn't have to be on this list that I've got here. It's just I just
True.
threw those out
Yeah,
as
yeah.
just sort of examples.
Yeah, fair.
Stuff. It's like if you need something, you can grab one of these.
yeah, I think their flaw is that they are never satisfied.
I mean,
Change
that's
is-
yeah.
Change is good.
Change is good. It's like you'll always sort of pick change over anything else, and that in and of itself is like, well, if you're okay, you don't have to change it just for the sake of change. Perhaps you feel you do.
But they're constantly pointing out a weakness,
Yes.
finding that weakness, and that weakness has to be removed.
Yeah. I think that my flaw, if I am built from, say, like a mashup of Sojourner and maybe one of the old Prop M's, to an extent, I think perhaps my flaw is wanderlust. I just can't sit still. I have to keep exploring. I can't not do it. I want to go other places. I've been here forever. I've got to leave.
Rover.
It's a problem. It's a problem. So I think if we're good, I'm going to go ahead and hit our final section here for the night, which is finally you must determine your character's connections to the others. There are two connections in particular you should establish, a nemesis and a benefactor. Your character's nemesis is the character who stands in the way of achieving your ambition. The character might be aware of this, or they might not even realize you consider them an enemy. Choose one of the other player's characters to be your nemesis. You should also choose one of the other characters to be your benefactor. This is a character who is, for whatever reason, giving your character significant aid of some kind. Your character might be aware of why they're doing this, or they might be keeping their reasons quiet. Your nemesis and your benefactor can be the same character if you want, but if that's the case, it is a good idea to also establish some kind of background connection, story connection with a second character, so that you'll have more options for characters to interact with when setting a scene. Characters can be each other's nemesis or benefactors if they so desire, so long as no one is left without a connection to at least two other characters. Similarly, multiple characters can have the same nemesis or the same benefactor, but keep in mind that may cause there to be more focus on those characters during play, possibly. And we just then discuss our characters' relationships with each other until we have enough of a picture of where things stand at the start of the tragedy, and when everyone's comfortable with the setup, you begin play.
If Sarah's okay with it, I actually would like Sarah's character to be almost an unwitting benefactor, because they enforce doctrine through their rage and their yelling and their beating all these things into the new generation. But some of that comes from the laws that are spawned from Lawbot, and I think that that I benefit from their own maniacal rage.
Okay.
By
Yeah,
enforcing
sure.
doctrine.
I could see Kat's character being a benefactor for mine, and that as they're always taking things apart and dismantling things and changing things, that gives me opportunities to get new parts, new technology, learn new things. As they're sorting out all of that and making all this change, I can just be constantly gleaning information and parts.
Encouraging you to modify what you find.
I think Kate, your character might be one of my benefactors, might be a benefactor for me, because you're always like searching out the new parts, and so when I finish with the thing, even if it's something I'm training another program to look at, even if it gets messed up and mangled, I know that you'll get it taken care of. I don't really care what you're doing with it, but you're getting it out of my way so I can get the next batch in.
And since I would be inspiring others to also be building things and doing things, then it's like, oh, here, you take this from you, and then here, you take it, and you go make something with it.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking that then just looking at the chain of things would make sense for me to set up is that if we wanted to form a perfect circle here, I should take Ernest as my benefactor. And I'm trying to think if it's unwitting or not, but it'd be interesting, because maybe there's a thing where it's like my position has to be protected.
Oh.
Because it serves some kind of purpose that's always been served, and we just hasn't been replaced yet.
Well, you need that's what a court fool is for, is to point out flaws and problems.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that was the whole thing. Maybe, sorry,
that are breaking laws. Well, things that are breaking the rules, things that are problems. That's what the court jester filled the role of.
I gotta have that jester point out people lawbreakers. Also, you're gonna leave one day, and my laws will travel with you.
oh my God! You're like, that puts such a new layer on this. Oh my God!
And I'm whispering in the jester's
I don't
ear.
realize it's a sponsored trip. Oh my God!
Just whispering in the jester's ear.
That's too good. I love that. Oh man, yeah, no.
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah.
We will spread across the universe.
Perfect. That's
Kat,
awesome.
did you say that Jim's character would be your benefactor?
Benefactor.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
And Ernest
Write it down.
is my nemesis.
What do we think in terms of nemesis?
I mean, I think Kat and Ernest are little bits immediately set at odds.
Oh yeah. We're definitely each other's nemesis.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. Valjean, at last, we see each other plain.
Yeah. Oh, we got
A loaf of bread.
No.
so
Oh my
good.
That works. I love it.
I think then I'm gonna take Jim as a nemesis because you keep talking about going elsewhere and finding other things, and maybe you're taking some of the more promising programs with you on the journeys and pulling them away from the training, and it's not fulfilling the want to have more people learning to clean up. You're just making more messes.
Maybe we have to go to Europa. It's vitally important.
No, it's not.
Excellent. Let me see. What do I want? See, so either it can be same, or I can take, or I could take. Who do I want to take as my nemesis? I'm thinking I should either take Sara or Kate in some way, just as far as just the bouncing of things around as a nemesis. I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, I can't try to figure out how to make it work. Like,
It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
all different if we just make the connections elsewhere.
yeah, true.
Yeah. Doesn't have to
And
we
if
don't need to make
Sara
it.
and I already have kind of mutual interests,
Yeah.
then there's a connection there, as well as with Kat as my benefactor. Because I feel like Ernest would probably be my nemesis, the most natural one, because like I want to go make cool things and do cool shit, and you just want to enforce your law, and I don't like it.
So something that I could do is I could just go ahead and take. We could just basically have our two at odds things, and I could say that I have Sara as my nemesis, but I could also set a connection to Kate's character of some kind. That doesn't necessarily have to be benefactor or nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could have somewhat parallel interests, because you're wanting to go new places, and I kind of do. I want to eventually establish my own beacon or whatever it is.
Yes.
So those could be kind of parallel things, and I could help point you to new places. Or if you go make a new colony, I could help point people to your new place.
Well, yeah, and that's going to be vital as sort of as we're sort of getting our launch point. If we get a launch point together or something, or we're trying to get things moving out, it's keeping the chain of communication there is important. So I probably relay a lot of things through you, that to try to disseminate it as I'm going around and getting this information from roving previously, but I've probably been over a lot of the planet at this point. But as I gather more information, that happens that way, and then you can help me sort of figure out how we're gonna do this. We're just sort of working on we're working on space. We're working on Project Europa, or whatever it is.
So I'm thinking my program is actually a descendant of the original being that modified their code.
Oh, yeah.
And because you can't just take two pieces of code and splice them together, you're going to have to tweak it. And that's what my program did. And we kept being replicated to do that, to tweak code. And so they're always looking to do that darkness of changing things.
Nice. That's right. You took death, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, that means that my character would be connected in some way. Well, it can be connected in some way to the, I guess, the first ruler of the first city. That we've established here. Which kind of makes sense to an extent if we're. It's like that was like the first thing. It's like, okay, let's get the rovers dealt with first. That was the thing. Interesting. I think we've got our basic connections here. We can. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about with respect to how we've got things set up, things we want to establish? We're going to need to do names, but I think we can do that in downtime. If we need to, because names are rough. Names are tough.
I do find it an intriguing concept, though. We've got all these artificial beings, and how did they come up with their names? So I'm thinking up ideas.
I have a name already, but it's just because he's just, he's boring, and he's just using basically something he cribbed off of the name of the thing he had that he's built out of, or they're built out of, rather.
Yeah.
Okay. So just doing a Google search by typing in SYN, S-Y-N. There's a company that trades on the New York Exchange, and their abbreviation is SYN on the stock. Synthetic Biologics Incorporated.
Oh, nice.
Amazing.
So SYN, S-Y-N.
It's almost too on the nose, but I love it. It's great. I love it. No, that's wonderful.
So then, Ernest, your character's name is Mars?
Mars Altar. It's because it's the Mars Altar is the invocation for for Mars of vengeance. And since I believe so much in the Empress, it's like these laws are kind of like the Empress's vengeance. The original God's vengeance returned. Yeah, but my name, and also I'm just built from the Mars 3 lander, the space probe. So it's all big and blocky.
I love it.
Incredible. I will think of a name later because I'm bad at names.
No problem.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah,
a
me too.
while.
Right now, I'm just calling my character M. Because he's partially built from the prop from the Russian prop M rover, but then also Sojourner. Excellent.
Okay, so we're envisioning a sort of city, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what it said?
Yeah. Or we're thinking. Yeah. What do we? Let's see. The nature of the city. Let me go ahead and actually reopen here. What was the thing we had? 7 of Wands to describe some of the physical characteristic.
Vengeance. It was vengeance.
Vengeance, a city of vengeance. So it is basically a thing done in reaction to other things. So maybe it's.
Well, it was created as an act of vengeance, against the humans.
Yeah, well, yeah,
we took
totally,
this
and
up.
that's how it was created.
I
So
almost
maybe it's
visualized
almost like a mockery of a human city in a way.
See, I kind of visualize it being like a circuit board. How if you zoom in really close to the circuit board, it can look like a city, like a town with the with the pieces coming up, but with that weird windingness to it that only the robots could navigate. Only the impulses.
And I'm actually thinking SYN has a physical body that it uses if it needs to, but there are pathways, silicone pathways, so that we're not reliant on our bodies. And I think that's one of the things that they talk about is embracing is don't be like the humans. You don't need to have a body.
Bodies are good.
It's like we still have that server. We still have that server we brought with us. We still have the Legion, Central Legion, if we need it. So, like, we could hop through into a virtual space if we need to.
I have this vision of like just a massive like Goliath of parts pieced together that doesn't look like it should work, but somehow it does, and it's just sitting in this massive room at the center of the circuit board, mostly inactive, but like lights here and there are flickering as different programs run through.
If you've ever seen any of the 40K imagery of the God Emperor, like where he's basically dead, but he's just plugged in, and there are things that are he's just keeping on. That's the image I'm getting of Legion. Legion is this God Emperor figure, this dead creature sitting on its throne that's tended to by the priests and kept alive.
I like the idea also of the circuit board, and I like the idea that maybe it extends somewhat, depending on how big it is, right? And it's been a few generations. Maybe it's kind of spread out to a certain area, but maybe parts of its extensions go into some of the canals. And, so they're like, you can even create strata that way.
Isn't silicon's very common on Mars? Isn't that one of the more common elements that they keep finding is silicon? If I'm not mistaken.
That sounds familiar.
On Mars.
Is a chemical found in several minerals on Mars. It's the second most common element on Mars, after oxygen.
And silica is the most common compound found in the Martian crust.
Yes.
So, and quartz, making quartz silicates. So, I mean, this is a world that was made for us.
Yeah. They didn't even need to put in the pathways.
Yes.
The whole planet is a pathway. This is sick.
I'm loving it.
Excellent.
Oh my god.
I'm so looking forward to this.
And I now see the very deep irony in me picking the Botanica deck.
Oh.
I love it.
You have flowers. You're trying to make them grow.
Oh.
Are we? Do we think
Wally
we're good?
moment. I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right. This is excellent. I'm very excited for this. We're gonna come back next week and actually start our acts. We're gonna need to decide, and we can do this next week or we can do this in downtime. We're gonna need to decide how many acts we want to play through, because we'll each get one scene per act that we set up, and have tragic things happen during them, basically. But we'll get into all of that sort of next time. But we can sort of decide. I'm again still currently thinking like 3 acts, but we can play with it as we desire. But this is good. I love this. All right. Well, we have come to the end of our session 0, essentially, for this little mini campaign. I am just very pleased to see where this goes. We're going to go ahead and go around and get everyone to, once again, tell folks where they can find you. Feel free to plug whatever you like. And give any final thoughts you had about this session, favorite bits, or what you're looking forward to as this is going on, just any particular thing. I'm going to go in reverse order from the way we started. Back up the L that is making up our overlay here. And we shall start with Kate.
Getting sleepy now. Like, can't remember what all was I going to plug. Hi, I am Kate Eliot. You can find me on all the social medias at handle It's Eliot Kate. I don't have anything coming up in the next few weeks aside from this yet, but I will be running a game for a charity fundraiser I think in about a month. the weekend closest to July 18th, whatever dates those are. It's a great event. I was in it last year both as a player and as a GM. This year, I'll be running a one-page game that I created called Lemurs on the Loose, where you're a bunch of lemurs trying to escape the zoo. They just opened up signups today for players, so go check that out, whether you just want to watch or whether you want to get in on a game. It should be a lot of fun, and we raised lots of money for cats last year and hope to do so again.
Awesome. And did you have any final thoughts about the session or the game or anything?
I really enjoyed this. I love the collaborative world building aspect of it, and just all the throwing ideas back and forth and seeing where it would develop. And I came into it expecting some sort of, like, I don't know, Greek mythology with maybe some Shakespeare flavoring or something. And now we're a bunch of robots on Mars, and it's awesome.
I will say that the previous playtests that I've done of this, it's always, bent more toward Greek tragedy than anything else. I think I had one that was more Shakespearean, but it's mostly been sort of centering around the mythological aspects of Greek tragedy. This is the first time we've broken out and done robots, and I'm here for it. In part also because I think, and I mentioned, tragedies that I like at the beginning, but one of my favorites also of the modern tragedies is Frankenstein. So always pleased there if one wants to consider it that. But excellent. And now let us head over to Sara.
Hi, I'm Sara B. You can find me on Twitter at SaraBStrange. I tend to just float around the internet. If you want to see where I'm floating next, you can follow me there on Twitter. Best place to spot me. And if you want me to float over to your corner of the internet for more games, let me know. Hit me up there.
Excellent. Did you have any final thoughts or anything else you wanted to say about the session or the game?
This is so much fun. I love world building. It's the best, and building characters together. And I personally am very excited in general for the tragedy because I am mildly infamous in my tabletop game groups for angst, and absolutely tormenting my characters. So this is a grand excuse to do that.
Excellent. Yes, we are here for you. Awesome. Brilliant. And now over to Ernest.
Hey, I'm Ernest, also known as Hollow Invective. You can find me on Twitter at Hollow Invective. I also tend to float around the internet, so if you want me for games, other stuff, I don't really have anything going on my channel yet. I have something in the works, but also that thought could just fly away out the window, much like cash on a Steam sale day. So, yeah, my favorite part of the game is really just like the collaboration, and really just like the second Cat heard like my idea, was like, oh, Nemesis, there it is, got it.
Excellent. That happened very fast, and I loved it. That was
Embrace
great.
the chaos.
Embrace. And so finally, over to Kat.
Hi, I'm Kat at Clerk of Court on Twitter, and I lurk mostly in Discord servers or post bird pictures and cat pictures of the kittens. I'm herding 3-4-month-old kittens right now, so my life is a little chaotic. I drink, I roll dice, and I play games on the internet with my friends. And I think what really drew me to this was the tarot aspect. I have, in an offline game, a Horizon Walker Ranger who is an Asmar and uses tarot as their connection to their spiritual guide. And we've been going for 2 years now, and just by doing simple 3-card readings in-game for the character, it's eerie how often it clicks with what's going on with that character, or when they do readings for other PCs, how often that I'm not a believer, but the coincidence is very striking, and I enjoy that. And I like the interpretation of it, and using that as a way of world building by making your own, taking a word and finding how many different ways can we apply this word other than the literal translation of it, or the literal definition of it. And that's what's beautiful about this, is how many different angles are there. And I'm really, really looking forward to these characters. I don't think I've ever played a character that's had an actual nemesis in this direct kind of a way, and that's going to be interesting for me as well. I'm looking forward to this.
I am the law.
Embrace the chaos. Change is
So good.
This is going to be good. Excellent. Good. I'm very much looking forward to this. And just to finally properly kick the tires on this thing. I am so pleased to finally be able to play an actual full game of this. You have no idea. So very much looking forward to that. And as for me, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I have links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and various other things. On Wednesday nights, and I believe we're good for this week. So tomorrow night, we should be coming back with our Scum and Villainy game, untitled space game. And we get to go on the mission that we took on last time, and as we go forth and attempt to salvage things from a precursor ship in a very, very dangerous planet that's trying to kill us. What could possibly go wrong, I ask you? And then furthermore, on this channel on Saturday, we have our Invisible Sun campaign, The Edge of Paradox, which has just come back. We just had our return after like 10 months last Saturday, and I'm very excited to see what happens. They are back at the Eternal Party trying to find a new power source for it to get it working again, so that it is no longer cast adrift in the ether. So we'll see how that goes. Just a party floating around between realities. And then of course back to Tuesday, when we will have more of this. And we'll do Act 1 of our tragedy. So I'm very pleased to see how that's going to go. Let's see. I have various things possibly upcoming I will get to when we get closer to it. There will be sign-ups soon. I'm going to do some one-shots of Inspectors starting in July. And so I'm going to throw out some sign-ups for that soon. Look for that. As always, beginners are welcome. I think when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to Actual Play, who will hopefully still be streaming by the time we get there. They are doing Blades in the Dark, and it looks like there's some one-on-one stuff happening, so I'm just keen to see just sort of the RP going on there. So we'll go ahead and say hi to them. Feel free to hang on if you're so inclined and say hi to them with us. That again will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and we will catch you next time.